everyone, welcome back to another episode on the Goddess Cave. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Let's get real in the cave. Now today I want to talk about therapy. That is something that I don't know what episode that was on, but I did take it back. I remember listening to it and I was like, no, I don't want nobody to tell me about myself and da 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 da. But then I had a click because just because I'm able to self-analyze and be self-aware of issues does not mean I know how to properly deal with those things in a healthy way. And I took it back and I said there are some things that I may have a jaded perception about, perspective about, and I may just be working against the grain on things. And because I'm an overthinker, I know some stuff I would just forever be going down a rabbit hole, and that is not okay. So, coming into the new year, I made up my mind because I felt like I got tired of emotionally dumping on people. My version of emotional dumping is basically talking to people. More than likely, it's going to be someone that you're close to. It could very much so more than likely be a friend, a family member, or a significant other. Now, we should create these safe spaces for our loved ones to come and communicate. That is a big part of a relationship, whatever kind of relationship it is. But they are not there for you to put, it's draining. You know, I've gone through that. And I think that from my childhood, I took that on unknowingly for a long time, because I was always searching for a place to feel safe to speak. Like I said before, a lot of things that I've said may have been triggering for my parents, and I had to go to a space where I felt, like they're human. It's not their fault. We're all learning as we go, and it's not good for me to, blame them for things, but I can't help it if I got hurt along the way of their learning, so moving forward, when I got friends, or came across people, when I came along my friends now that I have, I would just need a space to speak. And I noticed that, Ebony, certain things you're always bringing up around these people, and they're not really healthy things to talk about, and I'm not saying, and I would apologize to them all the time because I feel guilty about it. Emotional dumping. Some people don't feel guilty about it, but I did. And I was apologizing. I have to make sure that, I'm not only we're all grown at the end of the day. And, sometimes we may be able to see each other like that. Of course, with my living arrangements before I got my home, it just was really draining. I didn't really want to come out too much. And I guess I was always saving all of my, outings, I guess, for when I moved. But, yeah, I guess didn't like that anymore, and I got tired of doing that. I said, this has to stop. So this year I got into therapy, and it's been great. Now I'm going to give you guys a definition, because I said this is what I'm going to be doing from now on. Therapy. Now this is a scary part, and I think this is why a lot of people have a problem with therapies, because of the definition itself. Some of this stuff is like, I don't want nobody thinking something wrong with me. You know what I'm saying? Therapy. A treatment intended to relieve or heal a disorder. The treatment of mental or psychological disorders by psychological means. Now, we all touched, first of all. Okay? Everybody got a little bit of crazy up in them. Some people will act upon it. Some people don't. But we all have something. Like for me, I don't curse. I'm not confrontational, but I have a smart mouth. That was the way that I dealt with things in my childhood. I always have a smart comeback to things, okay? So, just because I don't curse doesn't mean I'm no better than anybody else. And nobody is perfect. You know what I'm saying? So, therapy is always got to... I never looked at therapy, though, with a bad, feeling about it or whatever. But my experience is what made it bad. So as a child, I won't really say a child, I was like, I was in high school. I've always been an introvert. So moving out of my comfort zone where I grew up at put me in a new environment, and I guess stayed in the basement. You can call me the basement child, okay? That was my life. My life was in those four walls of that room up until now. And eventually that just became me. I feel like I always was a homebody, but because my parents have been always protective over me and sheltering, it's just is who I am now. I'm not even gonna act like I'm gonna go out there and have a hot girl summer, because it's not who I'm gonna be. But that's just my case. They put me in therapy because I was a busybody at a period of time, and they wanted to have a breakthrough with me. Now, the problem is, if you don't have a relationship with your children to have to speak to them, because every time they try to speak, you're dictating, or you're not creating a healthy environment for them to speak, you're passing on your judgments. Like I said, we are all learning, but just know the cause and effects of parenting, okay? So, if I don't feel that I have a safe space to communicate to where you're going to put things up in my face, I'm not going to speak to you. On top of me being the only child, I do have siblings, like I've said many times before, but we don't have a relationship. So, I was basically always by myself. So, of course, I'm not going to get out. I'm an outgoing person. I'm bubbly, but I guess when it comes to my parents, it just was not that. We did not have that relationship to where I felt I had a safe space to speak. So, they put me in therapy, and I just felt like it was like a manipulation trick, because they were mad at me. They did things that, I just feel like they just handled it the wrong way. But they did the best they could. So I went to therapy, and I did not like that lady, for the reason that I guess I identify with her. She was not a reflection of me. Not in a way that I want somebody that's going to be like, exactly me, because that wouldn't work, of course, because that might be too triggering of a therapy session. But I just didn't feel like I identified with her at all, and I felt like my parents were using that to get information out of me. I feel like it was manipulation, so I was not about to go in there and speak. So I was not in that long. So that gave me a bad feeling about therapy moving forward up until now. So I guess called my insurance, and I put in my information, and the therapy came up. The first person that I wanted actually was not the person that I got, or person that I picked. But I'm actually happy because I love my therapist. She is wonderful. She's very thorough, and I need it. It's a breakthrough that I came through, with that we just came through today or this week, and that was I was looking for a home my whole life, trying to find a space to feel comfortable and happy. When you grow up in an environment, and this is where I am currently, and I'm still working on it. Once I moved into my home, I felt that I was a problem. Now, mind you, I was always the core of the issues in my family of my parents, okay? Or everything somehow came to me. I was like the therapist, the this, the that, the this, and that, and it was hard. So I grew up feeling like things were my fault, which I knew that they weren't. But if that's the thoughts that you're always getting, you're going to take those things on, whether you really believe it or not. Those things go into your subconscious. So when I moved out, and I still have, it's a hard thing when you're moving past something, but you still have the effects of where you came from. Bear with me. So I got depressed because I worked so hard to get to this point, where I didn't really think that I should even move out, but I knew I had to. I went through something that pushed me to put me first, and that created a whole lot of tension between my family and I. But I knew that space will make us better at the end of the day. I just didn't know when I would need to take that space and take that risk to get that space. So finally I moved out, and adjustments were being made, but now I'm here by myself, and I'm like, Am I the problem? That was my first feeling of knowing that, okay, Ebony, something is not right. You know what I'm saying? So those thoughts were just not being helpful. So I would go back to my parents' house and everything just seemed jovial. But now, mind you, you don't ever know what's going behind closed doors. You know what I'm saying? This is a new normal that we are all experiencing, my parents and I, separating and create those boundaries that I had to make last year. And it's all of adjustment, but things are getting better. So, like I said, I decided that therapy, I can't do this on my own. I need some other strength, to help me back up what I'm learning, and to help me apply things. Because you can read your Bible. You can watch a sermon. You can watch motivational speakers. You can watch mentors. But if you're not getting the proper tools to help you back up your goals, you're wasting your time. Because that's what I did for a whole 2 years. I was out getting knowledge. I can preach all I want to. People come up to me and be like, Emily, or I've talked to people or friends, and that was the other thing was I would be talking to friends and I would say that I am a pure heart, which people told me I'm a pure heart, but because I've also asked God to help me keep my heart pure, because I've always seen humanity in other people, knowing that I can't just take victim, you know what I'm saying, if I wasn't actually, attacked, you know what I'm saying? So, because we're all learning these things, you know what I'm saying? So, when my friends would give me advice, I couldn't wholly accept it because I know that there's my side, another person's side, and the truth. You know what I'm saying? Because I am not perfect. But I would talk to people and they'll be like, oh my God, you're so perfect. And you handled that so beautifully. But inside, I didn't feel that way. I know that I can hear my friends tell me, oh my God, Ebony, you're so amazing. And you don't deserve this and that and whatever. But what about the things that I'm doing wrong? I felt like those things weren't getting properly looked at. So that's what made me really going into therapy. Because I said, I have to figure out what's going on with me that's attracting me and allowing me to accept certain behaviors. Allowing me to feel guilty about certain behaviors, setting boundaries. I had to learn about what's going on with me at core that's making me overthink. And I got tired of all those emotions and stuff. So I got into therapy. And, like I said, we got through a lot of breakthrough, and what I want to let you guys know, it's okay to be afraid to start therapy. It took me a while to do it. Don't let no one else force you to get into therapy. Do it because you want to do it. Don't do it to make someone else happy. You can't live your life making someone else happy. I did that already. Been there, done that, and the book failed. So, you know what I'm saying? And you can't live like that. Do it because you say, you know what? I got in therapy because I said I cannot take on things that I don't like about my parents. I can't take on things I don't like about myself. If I don't learn how to nip this in the bud and reinforce the proper behaviors, I'm not going to be no better. That's how you learn. That's how you become better. By going out, getting the knowledge, and applying. And if you need some help, get it. God's sakes, get the help. Get the help. Now, we all know that sometimes the resources aren't there. But, and that's where it comes in at. Let's start making some foundations to help people. You know what I'm saying? Because it's necessary. Because I'm telling you, I feel so much better not having to... Now, I'm not saying that my brain still don't be on a rabbit race or a hamster wheel sometimes, because it definitely is, but this has only been not even a month of therapy, so bear with me. I'm bearing with myself, but it takes time, and we have to start to create things to help people, you know what I'm saying? Because and this is the thing. Therapy is better because when someone doesn't have their emotions in the game, they can see clearly. And that's what I needed. I needed someone who wasn't going to take my side, who wasn't going to feel so much sorry for me, who has nothing to lose but to tell me about myself. Not just a stranger, somebody who I felt could truly hold me accountable. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what dumping still is. You can meet a stranger on the street, and not saying that you shouldn't do that if you have to, but if that's the only thing you have to, utilize. But that's still dumping to me. That's my opinion. You need somebody who does not have any skin in the game, and sometimes outsider people give you the best perspectives about things to really make you think. Because I came from an environment where, everything evolved around someone else's feelings and not my own. I always put everyone else's feelings before myself. So I always felt like that was being a manipulation tactic, or it wasn't being selfish or true to my feelings. So when I feel someone else's feelings, sometimes I can't accept it because I'm trying to figure out where are your motives at, So knowing that this person has no ties to me and can't, benefit anything off of me, you know what I'm saying? That made me feel better and comfortable. So in therapy, you will more than likely have to journal. Now, with my hours and with me trying to get everything together and becoming more, organized and productive, I haven't been journaling like how I should. I was journaling actually in the summertime as I was on my break from my surgery. I was journaling. But most of my journaling goes on in my head. So if you're an overthinker, you know what I'm talking about. Reciting things in my head and mental notes. And then like when my hours that I work, I can't always just sit there and write down on a pen and paper. So all the things I do also put in small increments into my notes as well as on my phone. But journaling helps because you can write letters to people or to yourself. And when it comes to communication, if you are an overthinker like myself, then it helps you to create a mental process to communicate effectively because you've already rehearsed in your brain how to say things to a person if you were talking to them. So that is a wonderful thing to do, and I've been doing that as of today. I'm not gonna sit there and act like I've been knowing how to do certain things, and I've been doing certain things because nobody's perfect, and that's what not therapy is about. Be okay with saying, what, I didn't journal today, I didn't do this, I didn't do that, I needed a break this week. Those are all normal things, and your therapist will understand that. You know what I'm saying? And if they don't, then that's not the right one for you. But therapy is a process that it feels so good getting things off your chest and hearing a different perspective, and like I said, the biggest thing is when you're choosing your therapist, make sure that you identify with that person, make sure that you respect that person. If you are a man of color, you may not respect getting a Caucasian therapist because they don't understand your struggles, and that's completely fine. That was my thing. I'm like, you don't understand the struggles of a black woman. That my first therapist was Caucasian, and I did not identify with her at all. We didn't have the same spirit. I felt like she was judging me, minus the effects of my parents. I just did not pick somebody who matches your vibe, who matches your energy, who you respect, who you can identify with. That's the first thing. And do it when you're ready. Do it when you're ready to receive. Do it when you're ready to accept that you may be wrong. Have an open mindset. Be ready to apply certain things in your life. And know that when you talk about things in therapy and we say, let's work on this week, know that you're human. And know that some things you may not be able to implement that week. But as long as you can be able to make a mental note and say, you know what, Ebony, we talked about that today. Why did you do that? That's still progress. If you are a person who, and that's the other thing, okay, anxiety. I have been claiming that for a long time, and I don't like to put things like narcissism on people or anxiety or anything. I don't like to label anybody until the person who was qualified to do that on people, but I did that for myself. I had claimed anxiety, which I came to find out is more than likely true. You know, I have hints of anxiety, but we all have hints of certain things. Like, we all have hints of narcissism. We all have hints of anxiety. We all have, you know, a little bit of everything in us. We are human. We all have certain characteristic traits that can resemble certain things. But leave those leave those labels alone until you get it for yourself. Now, if someone's been calling you a certain thing all your life, then of course that may be harder for you to do. But if you're taking on those certain things, leave it for the person who is qualified to give you those diagnoses. And if you do talk about certain things that sound like a diagnosis, you know, then know that it's okay. Know that you are taking the steps to work on making yourself a better, healthier version of yourself. And that is the part that matters. Don't get stuck up on certain things. And this is the other thing, okay? Don't be afraid to think about stuff. You have to. You know, I lived my life feeling like, Ebony, if you're thinking about it, that means you're stuck. No, you're thinking about it because you care about thinking on it. Now, dwelling on things, you know, give yourself a goal to say, I'm going to give myself X amount of time to work through this process. And if you feel like your time frame is coming up, tell your therapist about it. Be okay to communicate, saying, you know what, we got to come with a little bit more of aggressive tactics than this. You know, but you have to feel to heal. So don't be afraid about that. And don't be afraid of whatever changes that you have to make in therapy. You know, I've noticed that the forgiveness that I need to give to my parents, which I've tried to do. But now I feel a bit more better about making those efforts. You know what I'm saying? Instead of just shutting down and saying, nope, not right now. You know what I'm saying? I feel better with making an additional effort. Now, I'm not saying put your boundaries down. I'm saying that make an effort to say, okay, you know what? Let me open up to my dad a little bit more. Let me try to talk to my mom a little bit more. Those things make a difference. I'm not telling you to forget about what happened and how this happened and how those persons can act, but you have to, for me, I have to come to a place to where I know that I have exhausted my everything that I have to make sure that I can give myself the best life. Because that, like I said, it's okay to know that as a woman, you have a goal to have a family of your own. You know, I know I'm making progress because I'm telling you, when I moved out, I said I was going to be done with my parents too. You know, and that's just what I thought. But here I am. I'm talking to my parents. It may not be as often because that's just how I am, you know, but and also because, like I said, we need space to become better. Whenever you feel like a boundary is being pushed, sometimes you have to create space for you guys to be able to reflect on what's going on. You know, sometimes if you're staying close in proximity of people and always butting heads, you're not comprehending because you're always on defense mode. So give that time, give things space and time, and don't put a time frame on it. Know that every day that you're bettering yourself, you're giving someone an example to become better. So, I don't have too much to say right now about therapy because it's going to be an ongoing process, but I'm going to always give you guys updates about it. I just want to come on here and because it's a new year and I want you guys to get a hold of things that you have to work on. Don't be afraid to get into therapy. There's plenty of programs out there where they have, you know, funding for therapy. And that's the other thing. Don't be afraid that you can't afford something. Don't be afraid that, you know, you may not have the resources for it, but, you know, ask someone, hey, can you help me find a nonprofit that can help me talk to somebody? You know, don't be humble enough to know that you can ask for help. And preaching to myself, because I'm a person who I don't like asking for help, but that's my ego. You know, and that they just help you be able to identify what's really going on. What is your core, you know? I don't know if I probably shared this with you already, but I'm not sure, so let me double back. My core is a search for family, a search for safety, But I have to create that family within myself. I have to be able to acknowledge that I do want it. Because for so long, I guess it's going to be me and Natalie. But that's not what I want. I want my parents in my life. I want my dad to walk me down the aisle when I get married. I want my mom to be able to help me with my kids. I want my kids to be able to experience what I didn't get to experience, but I can't get that if I don't work on myself. That's the breakthrough that you need to be able to take real change. I'm not going to keep living my life denying that I need something that I want. Did I say that correctly? I'm not going to keep living my life denying that I want something and that it could be a need. You never know. But these are tears of joy because I'm being able to be honest with myself, you know? And anger is only a reflection of what you're not healing. So it feels good to turn that into something I can say, you know, I can feel good about this because I'm being honest with myself, you know? I want to be able to experience, and that's what life is teaching me. Sometimes, because we're all learning, when you get the knowledge for yourself, you create the opportunity to have a better opportunity for your children, which will keep going forward in the world, you know? They will do better than you, and that's okay. But knowing that taking the chance on yourself to better yourself will make you better for your kids, which will heal you in the end. That's what life is about. Life is not about you raising your kids for them to come and spend the same money that you spent on them. That's not what life is about. Life is about unconditional love to help each generation evolve, to become more whole, to close that gap of confusion, to close that gap of generational curses. That's what we need to do. Starting new cycles. That's what we need. Because we don't have the tools. I don't have them tools. I can't go out and create a family blindly. I don't want that. That's one of my worst fears, is creating something that I've been through. Because I'm in denial about something that is affecting me. Because you are carrying these things. That's one thing that it taught me. I'm carrying things from where I left. They're still going to be there. So just because you left a relationship, just because you left your family, if you moved across town, you moved to China, you moved to wherever, don't think that what you left, they following you. You taking on parts. Okay? That's what ego is. You're taking on parts of what you left, and the ego is telling you, you're always better than that, or, you know, that's not bothering me. No, sometimes, you know, sometimes the thing that you've done, you may not really feel like you're better than that. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes the things have been done to you, you may not really feel like you're being honest with yourself. Get to core. When we're my generation right now is having kids. Come on. I feel guilty not knowing that I gave my children the best chance that I could. Because what you see is what you get. What you see is what you get, my baby. Okay? But yeah, what you see is what you get. If you're not taking accountability, didn't say, we ain't getting that. Let me write this formula over again. Those formulas are us. Each thing that we go through creates a new version of ourselves. And it molds us. We can have all the desires to become better that we want to, because Lord knows I do. But you need those tools. You need that. You need to figure out how can I reevaluate this formula? How can I close this gap? So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you on the next. If you have anything that you want to have me talk about, you can DM me on the podcast Instagram. The link is going to be in the bio. You can also follow me on my Instagram. My Instagram is evolving. We can connect. If you have anything, also you can drop it down in the comments. And thank you guys. Bear with me as I get my episodes and my podcast in control. And let's grow together. And if anyone ever needs a helping hand, like I said, you can always DM me on my platforms, on Instagram, or on this page. and see you on the next episode. Thank you for being real in the cave.